Hey everybody, this is Christy. Welcome to my channel. In this series, we are talking about quilting with your domestic machine on a small quilt frame. This is part 5, quilting on that frame.
All right, let's talk throat space. One of the disadvantages of using a domestic machine on a quilt frame, whether it's a wooden one like this little Gracie 2, or one of the newer hoop frames, or that cutie that sits on top of a table, is that you are still limited by the size of the sewing machine frame. Unlike when you are free motion quilting just normally, when you can kind of smush extra fabric, an extra quilt, into the open, they call it the harp, this area of your sewing machine. Unlike that, you can't, there's no smushing. You are going to be limited by the space between the back of your foot right here and the bar right here. You can only move the frame so far before you run into the bar. You just can't get any farther. Right now, I haven't even started quilting this yet, so I have almost no fabric loaded on that bar. It's about one layer of leader cloth. So that bar is really skinny, and the biggest I've got there is about, what is it, like 4 or 5 inches? And that's with a 9-inch throat space. So the widest I'm going to be able to quilt is in that space. And as this quilt advances and this bar gets filled up and up and up with rolled up quilt, that's going to get smaller. So by the end of the quilt, I might only have, 3.5 or 4 inches of space left. The area of space that I have to quilt in each pass is going to be from end to end and only that deep before I have to stop, reposition the fabric. So, is that a problem? Well, it's actually great for like an all-over design, like a basic meander or a loopy kind of meander. I've done some swirly hearts and similar things. You can use some pantographs that are that fit. They're small. You can buy on this machine. I can load the paper ones on the table below. But again, you're going to be limited by that length. So you're not going to be doing large all-over designs. You're not going to be doing vertical designs. None of that. But now I'm going to get ready to get set up to quilt my first block. And I am pretty much, as you can see as I move forward, I'm pretty much at the limit of where that bar is going to run into the back of my sewing machine. So I actually need to adjust the fabric so that I get the maximum amount of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release some of my clamps over here off camera that hold the fabric taut, and I'm going to use, actually, I like that angle, but I'm going to show you quickly over here. I'm releasing the bottom, which is really the top bar, which holds the quilt back, and the bottom bar, which holds the quilt top. Releasing those so that those can roll freely. And then I'm going to use the back, and I'm going to begin ratcheting it, giving myself some space on the other two, and winding it up from the back. Alright, so let me position you back where it was. And what I have done so far is all I've done so far is to base this top edge of my quilt along the top to hold it down. And actually I have stopped with my needle down in the fabric, all the way down, and my foot is down. As I gently adjust this, I'm going to leave it down. So as I pull it, so it will already be set to go for the next set of stitches. And I will be able to see right away when I get to the point where the back of this foot is really close to that bar. I know that's as far as I can go. So I'm going to actually use 2 hands because I'm going to make sure that my front wheels are moving. And as always, I'm ensuring that everything is winding up smoothly. See, the whole sewing machine's kind of shifting back as I do it. We're getting closer. We're not quite there. You don't have to do it this way. You can stop and break thread. In fact, that's not always a bad way to go. Sometimes stopping and breaking thread, especially when you stop off on the edges, when you're on the edge on the where you're on the quilt back and on the batting, but off the top. That's actually a great place to stop and adjust. And then you can start the next row wherever you like. That is a fine way to go as well. So now I'm back as far as I think I want to be. It's almost touching, pretty close. Now I put my ratchets back down. I'm going to kind of gently snug back up the work so that it's kind of firm-ish. And attach my bungees. Help the sides stay taut. A word of caution with this style of bungees: do be careful because your sewing machine can run into them on the edges. So just pay attention to that as you get close to the ends to make sure that that's not messing up your pattern. Yeah. So I am gonna keep going. I'm gonna do another row or two of stitching. Okay. I am about ready to start quilting on my quilt on my little Gracie 2 frame. This is my Juki domestic machine. I mean, it's a 9-inch arm, but it's, sometimes they call it a mid-arm, but, it's a domestic machine. But I wanted to show you really quick how to draw the thread up to the top. If you ever have quilted along and you got a thread nest on the back, it's kind of ugly. It's a pain to do. So here's how to fix that. First of all, here's my top thread is threaded in the needle. Get that out of the way. I'm actually going to do this, I think, kind of on the batting. Lower the foot. I'm trying to turn the machine on. This machine has a needle up, needle down button. If you don't have one of those, just turn your hand wheel towards you. By the way, this works if you're free motion quilting just on a desk, on a table, on a regular machine. This is not specific to a frame, but useful technique. So I'm going to do needle. This is in a place where you're not going to see it, but needle down. So here's my needle thread, plenty of it. Oh, can you see that? You maybe can see that. Needle thread. Needle down, hold on to it, needle up. Take the foot up and grab off. And use a pair of scissors. This is a seam ripper because I had it handy. Hold the tail, sweep this underneath, and then kind of gently pull. And you should get a hold of that bobbin thread. And it did. You should get a loop. If it's really short, you may have to try this a couple of times. But yep, now I have the bobbin thread and the top thread on the top. I can put the foot back down. To lock it in place, if I want to do like a little knot of sorts, I can literally needle up, needle down 2 or 3 times in place. And that forms a bit of a lock stitch, and then I can just stitch away. So, great.
If you like this content, please like and subscribe to help support my channel. And please consider buying me a coffee. See my link in the description box below.